We'll try to get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, let's hold off, John. Stay on the line. Do you want to talk? You want to call in a little bit later? You want me to hold on here? We've got some callers on the line, okay?
Yep.
All right. We'll get into a little bit of discussion of world titles a little bit later. But we got a caller on the line from the 910 area code. You're on the line with Hit the Ropes. Who are we speaking with?
Yes, this is Matt Hardy.
What's going on, Matt?
How you guys doing, man? Good.
We're good.
We're doing great. We're actually taking a trip down memory lane, going back to our favorite tag teams of all time. You being a little bit of an expert of the sort, what's Matt's favorite tag team of all time?
Coming up, I know, obviously I was a huge Road Warriors fan. I dug the Freebirds. The Rock and Roll Express, obviously, was something, that eventually evolved into, the Rockers and into the Hardy Boys, But probably the Road Warriors stand out in my mind as being, like, the biggest and most dominant tag team kind of all times, especially, as being young and as a child.
Stokes is on the same page with you. That was his
Matt, we think just alike, man. Road Warriors are number one for me, too. You guys are awesome, of course, but the Road Warriors are one of my favorites as well.
And it just depends. Like, the business changed so much. I mean, like, obviously you could have never had the Road Warriors could have never had the great matches that, the Hardys versus Edge and Christian had, or, obviously you could have never put the Road Warriors in a TLC match or a ladder match, or, so everything, it's hard to rate everything straight across the board because everybody's different. They worked in different eras and they worked different styles, but a tag team that stands out just because of the way they were booked and, the way they looked and the way they intimidated everybody. The Road Warriors definitely stands out as one of the most intimidating tag teams. And there was never a point where, those guys like went on their own and were extremely successful. They were a tag team their entire career.
Absolutely. And Shane our other host, brought this topic up of how it's coming and going to tag teams, even outside the WWE. TNA built it up, and they had a great tag team, and then they've kind of thrown it wayside, and we've seen it being built up in ROH. Do you see there's a future in tag team wrestling where a lot of people are getting away from it?
No, I definitely. I think there's a huge market and place for tag team wrestling. I think there's a place for female wrestling done right, and I definitely think there's a place for for cruiserweight wrestling. As long as it's done a little differently. I mean, when you look at UFC, sure, UFC has guys, like Brock and Frank Mir and Kane who actually just beat Brock, that are these awesome heavyweights. But then you look at the guys who are their cruiserweights and their lighter weight divisions. I mean, those guys are huge ticket sellers and big money draws as well. And wrestling can be that same way if whoever's promoting it is actually treating it all fairly and is treating it all equally. I know at WWE the way Vince and company down, the way they look at it is like, okay, well, business isn't red hot, it isn't where we want it to be right now, so we need to make sure our number one priority is finding the next Hulk Hogan or the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. We got to have Cena or Orton or whoever else. They have to become this company guy that makes business hot and good again, and they start drawing great ratings and selling great amount of tickets, and that's their number one concern. And until that happens, they won't focus on tag team wrestling or a cruiserweight division or X division or lightweight division, whatever it may be. If you look back in the day at the Attitude Era, they actually, had a, Stone Cold and, the guys who were actually on top, and, The Rock and Mick Foley, those guys that were doing so great at that time, that was actually taken care of, so there was actually a little time and dedication actually put into the tag team division, especially when it came across. You got a lot of really great tag teams at that one time. It was kind of hard to deny the stuff that, myself and Jeff and, Edge and Christian and the Dudleys, Too Cool, Acolytes, all the guys on down were doing at that time, even DX.
Absolutely. And you speak of, it's all about how you promote the tag teams, the women, and the cruiserweight division. I've been watching the Matt Hardy brand YouTube channel, and you said that there's going to be a change in professional wrestling, and you note the date of 1/16/2010. Is that the date we see Omega return?
Well, actually, 1/15 right now is, when I have my match against MVP, actually in Poughkeepsie, New York for NEW. So that is my, big first publicly announced comeback return match. And there's actually a lot of ideas I've had as far as expanding my character and doing something different and doing something that's unpredictable in the business, which I think the business definitely needs now. And I'm very excited about the potential of opening up a wrestling school and doing some Omega down the line. But I have a lot of different ideas about things I can do creatively with myself, especially now that I'll be able to have a lot more creative input, obviously.
Absolutely. And you mentioned your creative input, and you said a lot from your YouTube and speaking to your fans that you don't feel, at least definitely in the last year, that you've been portrayed correctly or the way that you want to be. What is it? What is the Matt Hardy that fans should be seeing?
I have something, basically in mind right now that I'm not going to go into because I don't want to give it away now, obviously. But I mean, the Matt Hardy that we had before, even going back to the Matt Hardy who will not die is basically the guy that sums up the story of my life. It's the guy that always beat the odds regardless of whatever was put in front of him or whatever he was up against. He always overcame and he never gave up and never quit. Neither Jeff and I were two people. Considering we came from a town that had a population of 160, nobody expected us to make it to the WWE one day, but we did. And even when Jeff and I went on our own, people thought Jeff would be great, and actually Jeff ended up leaving WWE, and I did great as Mattitude version 1. And Jeff came back. We actually both did really well again, and then when Jeff left this next time and actually went and started with TNA, it seemed like from that point on, they couldn't really take it out on Jeff, but they could take it out on the other guy that had the last name Hardy. I don't know, but it's all good. I really, in the big scheme of things, that full-time schedule for 12 and a half, 13 years was really hard on my body, and I needed to take time off. And something I've been saying in a lot of my interviews now, I really do believe that there needs to be like some sort of mandatory time off for guys and gals, so that you're not on the road and wrestling and doing appearances and publicity for 300-plus days a year just because it is just so hard and so distracting on your body. And it's so physically, mentally, and emotionally demanding. Now more than ever, they do talk about, how they want to take care of the athletes more, especially how the concussion issue has been addressed. They do impact testing, and they obviously do very, strict drug testing, which is very good for protecting the health of the wrestlers. But once again, when you look at wrestling at its core, I mean, the human body isn't meant to be slammed on wood and steel. That's not what it was meant to do. So it is hard to do that to your body over and over and over again. So I know whenever you're hurt and you're injured and you are off and you're rehabbing one injury, it's amazing how the rest of your body actually kind of heals up. It feels good. And I think if guys were forced to take 6 to 8 weeks off, maybe a year, that actually would be very beneficial for guys' career and would give them a lot longevity in the business as far as that goes.
All right, I agree.
Now, Matt, you mentioned earlier about the company trying to find the next John Cena and these other big names, and we saw towards the end of your time in the WWE that you were pretty much the guy that was helping bring up the newer superstars like Drew McIntyre. What's your mindset when you know that you can still bring something to the table, yet you're not being used to, I guess, the full potential, and you're basically being used to enhance who the company feels should be the next big thing?
Well, obviously it's frustrating. I mean, you have guys like MVP. I mean, you even have someone like Batista who left on his own. I mean, if you look at the guys who've actually left on their own this year, it's actually been pretty record-breaking, and that just kind of shows you kind of the state of WWE to a degree. I honestly think one of the biggest issues is, and a lot of people don't think like this, but WWE is a public company, and they have to show that they're making a profit. You know what I mean? When those quarterly reports come out, that's very important to them. So guys who are making more money and do have good guarantees or whatever, like a lot of the new guys and the youth movement coming in, like, because I've been around for a while, like, I had a much better contractual, money guarantee where those guys were, where I couldn't really complain. I was still making money. But these guys are saying, well, if we can build up all these young guys that we don't have to pay a lot for 5 years, and we're definitely going to, build around these guys, and we can make sure to turn a profit. These are going to be our store. You know what I mean? There's definitely a mentality of that as well. I think that's one of the reasons they were going with the youth movement, looking for something new, because it was like a huge way of saving money as well too.
Okay. And you talk about the youth movement and having to show a profit, getting the kids involved in watching it. You know, Shane Gregory Helms, however he's going by nowadays, he's got the PG Sucks T-shirt there. What's your perception on the PG era nowadays, and is it still working, or do they need to get a little more edgy? Just wrestling in general, not even.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say I understand why they went to where they went to, but in my opinion, I would hate to be handcuffed where you had to have parameters and boundaries on what you do. I mean, it would be nice if they wanted to do something edgy. If there was an edgy story they wanted to do, that they could do it. But I mean, man, there's so many stringent, strict rules and policies right now in the WWE. It's crazy, and there's so many things you can't do. Like the whole thing. I mean, Daniel Bryan, got in trouble and got fired over choking, Justin Roberts with a tie when basically they wanted him to go out and destroy everything in sight. I mean, how ridiculous and how much of a double standard is that? It's just. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those things where I see why they do it. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think it puts them in a tough spot. I think it's still cool that TNA has the ability to do things that are a little edgy. But once again, like, you don't need people bleeding every match, and you don't need every match to be a ladder match. Like, I think things have to be promoted smart and wisely. And like I said, I'm a fan of an entire roster and card, all the way from having your main top drawing guys and having great tag teams, having a great X division / cruiserweight division. I think all that stuff can draw. I mean, obviously, divas and knockouts can as well. That's one of the highest rated segments each week. And, if you can, find girls that are somewhat talented and can wrestle, I'm a big fan too of the girls who actually are good wrestlers, as opposed to someone who's just a model who they bring and put in the ring and they try and teach them like on the fly. Like, I'm a big fan of anybody who is a female in the business who's been wrestling for years to make it somewhere and finally gets the opportunity there. I would actually rather see someone who's a good-looking girl that is actually a good wrestler as opposed to someone that's smoking hot that can't wrestle, at all.
Absolutely. And, Matt, obviously you travel well. You've got, billions of fans, it seems like. The switchboards are lighting up. Would you be, I'm going to put you on the spot, will you be willing to take a few calls?
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to, man. And one thing I would like to say, just while the switchboard is lighting up, I just want to plug, man, make sure that I plug for everyone the new thing that's been my love of labor recently, which has been thehardyshow.com. I want you guys to make sure to check that out, which includes myself and Jeff and Shannon Moore and a couple other guys, Chemo, Phil Shatter, and you get to see not only wrestling, but you get to look into our own personal lives. And right now, actually, if you go to www.thehardyshow.com, you can watch Champs, and it's a whole documentary about myself being the ECW champion, Jeff being the WWE champion, and you can watch that episode for free right now if you go to the website.
And they're also able to download these shows, right?
Yeah, you can. You can actually. We have a system. Go in and subscription to watch everything.
You there, Matt? You're breaking up a little bit.
Yes, I am. Yeah,
okay.
It's really cool, man. Like, if you want to get a subscription package where you watch all the episodes, that works. Or you can pick one episode, or you can download one episode. It's a really cool. It's a cool site, and it's going to continue to grow. We're actually going to do a lot of special things to it in the coming days.
Absolutely. You recently relaunched the website. You've got, season 9 out, and are you all filming season 10? Or how's that? Yeah. Where are we at on the season-wise?
Yeah, actually, we just finished filming season 10. The last episodes are being edited and in production right now. So we're tonight, we started today filming the first episode of season 11, and a couple of my buddies are coming over today, and we're gonna start working on season 11, episode 1 tonight, as a matter of fact.
Man, oh man, the machine never stops. All right, one of you. From the 478, you're on the line with Matt Hardy and Hit the Ropes. Who are we speaking with?
Yes. Am I on air?
Yeah.
Yes, you
yes.
are.
I love y'all so much. Matt? Okay, calming. I'm calming down. Calming down.
You're doing good.
Deep breath. Okay.
Honestly, I can't even tell you're excited. You're doing good.
Okay, Matt, I have a question about your future promotion. How much thought have you really put into it? Like, how far along are you? Do you have, besides, I'm assuming that maybe Shannon Moore and some of your closest friends will help you out, but are you going to have, like, where you're going to train women as well?
Yes. I mean, my wrestling school will train men and women.
So will it be kind of like what Knox Pro has going on, or will it be?
I don't know. I'm not really familiar with what they have. I mean, I know kind of how I would do it myself, and I know who I would use doing, and even I'm sure I would. We're Omega will actually come back. I'm going to do some shows, and however it is reborn, obviously. It may be called Omega, it may not. But, the wrestling school will actually be a place for these, students to train, and then eventually there will be shows for them to wrestle, time to time.
Oh, that is so cool. And I had one more, but I done forgot. I'm so nervous. So, Shane, like, if I think of my question in, 10 minutes, can you put me back on the air?
We'll definitely try as long as Matt's still around.
Okay. Thank you, Matt.
All right. You take care, Dawn.
Okay.
All right. Moving right along from the 610, you're on the line with Matt Hardy and Hit the Ropes. Who are we speaking with?
Hey, Matt. Hey, guys. It's J-Tom.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, Matt. You remember me, right? We met a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
man. My question was, you've been doing a good job with your tweets and your YouTube videos, like interacting with your fans, but whatever happened to your blogs?
I don't know. It's funny. Remember when they said video killed the radio? Twitter kind of killed the blog, I guess. Twitter and YouTube kind of killed the blogs, I guess, for the time being. I don't know.
Well,
when I get around and get settled in, there'll probably be some blogs time to time and occasionally. But right now I'm actually this week has been such a busy week. I have so many different projects that are tentative that I'm working on some really cool things. So I don't know. It's one of those things, like the YouTube things are really fun to me now, so I enjoy them. And then Twittering is just so convenient because you can do it off your phone and wherever you're at. And I'm like on the go constantly. And sometimes it's really hard for me to sit down and take an hour out of my schedule to actually just concentrate that entire time to write a blog.
All right. I understand. I really love reading your blog, so I hope they do come back.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some will, from time to time.
All right. Yeah, that was pretty much that's fine. I want to say though that you've been my favorite wrestler since I was like 6 years old to about 12 years now. Wherever you go, you have my support, and good job coming on Hit the Ropes Radio because it's my favorite show. All right, man.
Cool, man. Thanks, man. Well, it was good talking to you again, man. I definitely recognize you, and I'm a fan of your blogs and your writing as well. It's good stuff. So you take care, man. I'm sure I'll see you down the road, man. Good things are ahead. I'm sure you'll dig what's coming up in the future.
All right, thank you.
Now, Matt, I have a question that came from the chat room from John, who was asking about your version 1 gimmick, and I think that's that's one gimmick where fans, like, despite the haters that you have now, I think that one gimmick, was universally loved. Do you think that was like your best work to date?
It was, it was good, and it's weird. It's funny because, it's kind of like, I might do something a couple weeks from now, then like everyone loves me again, and it's just, I don't know. To me, it's like, once again, even how you were talking about the tag team things, it's hard to base any one thing on, like on one scale because everything, it was a different time period. I was working with different people. I had a lot more creative freedom. It was not a PG era at that time. There's a lot of different things that factor in. But I do think that, considering that was my idea, and I was actually told specifically, one time I was doing the thing with Brock Lesnar and Undertaker when I was like kind of fit into their feud a little bit, and I was, is when I had 3 or 4 matches back to back with Undertaker. I remember I went up to Brock and I was like, hey, don't worry, it's going to be all good. And I held up the V1 hand sign. I said, don't worry, version 1 will take care of it. And Stephanie McMahon was actually kind of around and in charge of maybe the shoot. She was like, no, stop. Don't do that version 1 thing anymore. I hate to break it to you, Matt, but that version 1 thing will never get over. Nobody, that's not going to work. It's not going to get over. And I was like, well, actually, I ran the whole idea I had by Vince. It's like version 1 is like the true version of Matt Hardy. It's like you're not seeing like Matt and Jeff and like an extension of Matt from the Hardy Boys tag team. Now you're seeing like the true Matt Hardy version 1, the whole thing. And he actually dug it. And, I did this, and the whole Attitude thing, like, Attitude, I said maybe we even turn the W upside down for the M, although legal, like, wouldn't include that for some reason. I want to do a shirt like that. But she said, no, that'll never get over. And that actually drove me, 3 or 4 times as hard to make it work. So I think that during that period, I was given a lot of opportunities and I was given a lot of creative input into what I was doing. And I think it was definitely one of the funnest and best characters that I ever did. And I had to fight really hard to get Shannon Moore with me. I thought he added a lot to my whole act as well when he was the little MF or the Attitude follower. And it's just like the wrestlers had so much input back then as opposed to how they do now. And I think that's one of the issues with the product, because the guys don't really get an effort to be themselves. Like if I'm going to be silly or delusional as version 1, like I have to do it how I know I would do it. Like someone can't tell me how they would do it and you expect me to do it and do it naturally. It's just much easier if the person actually gets to creatively do it the way they would truly do it, as opposed to being directed or produced and how someone else would do it. Because, the fact of the matter, at the end of the day, like, we're professional wrestlers and we're really good at what we do, but we're not professional actors. So.
All right, Matt, this is Demetrius here. I got a question from the chat room. One of the ladies here in the chat room, I think this is Glam Rock for Life, and she wants to know, do you have any upcoming shows or appearances in the state of Florida?
Do I have any upcoming shows or appearances in the state of Florida? I don't have anything currently booked, but never say never.
All right. And then my question for you, obviously, everybody who's a wrestling fan knows, your brother Jeff is in TNA. I know you were talking about the options, and you got a lot of opportunities, doors open for you. Is that something that could potentially happen down the road? And then also, do you ever, who knows what could happen down the road? Do you foresee yourself ever going back to WWE? Is that something that might be a possibility?
Yeah, once again, actually, on Twitter, people ask me about that, and to both of them, the answer was never say never, because I hate it when people go, I will never do this, and then the next thing you see is they do exactly what they said they weren't going to do. TNA, especially with, their limited schedule, and, if I could have, freedom to do whatever I wanted to outside of TNA, that could definitely be a possibility, and especially it would be fun to be there and work with Jeff and Shannon. So, who knows, if a deal ends up working out down the road, it would be really cool. As far as WWE goes, I definitely would not be opposed to going back there, but if I did go back there, I would want to go back there and work a part-time schedule. I just think my body, where I'm at right now, I'm past working 300-plus days a year right now. I want a more limited time schedule. I'd still be willing to work hard and work the majority of the shows, but just still not just out there in the trenches day in and day out like I have been for the last 13 years. So anything is possible, man. Anything is really possible. But I am going to make the most of my future. You can believe that.
And with that being said, you say anything's possible, but as a man, business is business, but it kind of seems that the WWE has kind of underappreciated you and your brother in a lot of ways, seeing how, when the whole triangle thing with you, Edge, and Lita went down, you were the only one punished there. And then after Jeff decided to go his ways, you know, they really hammered it home with the CM Punk thing, and then you say that you felt that. So do you know, could you really go back to WWE with them, you know, with all this seems like hate coming towards your way, or do you use that to fuel you to do better elsewhere?
I mean, you know, it's one of those things, man, because it is just business. I mean, although there may have been times that I've been punished, like I made a lot of money, you know, with my 13 years there. And once again, you look at it like that, like, you know, whenever you go to a job and you make money, you know, but there's a lot of people that go to jobs they have that, you know, they, you know, complain about this or complain about that or this isn't perfect or whatever. But if someone's making a good living there, then, you know, it's still worthwhile. It's funny because wrestling is very different, where it's real easy for, you know, fans or people who, you know, like the sport and follow the sport actually go like, well, you know, this guy, you know, isn't being used or being punished or whatever, but still, at the end of the day, it is a business, and it's about what you make. It's nice if you get a huge push and you become the world champion on top of all that, but, I mean, the WWE, you know, with this youth movement and with the injuries and just with all the stringent and strict regulations they have right now, I think within the next couple of years there's going to be a lot of things change in the WWE. And who knows, like, let's say we're random case scenario, who knows, maybe I do go to TNA and do great at TNA and have a reinvention, and then a couple of years down the road go to WWE on a limited schedule. I mean, who knows? Who knows what happens? You know, maybe, you know, WWE calls me up 6 months from now because they have so many beat up that, you know, they're, you know, willing to meet me halfway on doing some kind of new deal. Like, I would definitely have, going back to the WWE, I would definitely have certain stipulations, and they would have to meet some of my requirements going back now, though. Just because now I don't need WWE. You know, like, I've tried to be smart. I have a lot of other business things going on. It's just like I don't have to be there for a paycheck, you know. But I definitely want to wrestle, and I want to get back to the business. And having a wrestling school to me and doing a couple shows every now and then, running my own Omega kind of shows, it would be a blast. Like, I love that. And, like, I feel like I deserve to give back because, you know, I've been so successful and so fortunate in the business. Like, I really do believe it's good to give back, you know, once you obtain success from a certain, you know, a certain career.
Now, you mentioned, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask him, you know, he's talking about the Omega, and he's going to do it on his terms. And it seems like, you know, you utilizing that to promote the guys that you're training and building up. But with all the people that are floating around now, you've got MVP, you've got, you know, great workers like P.D. Williams and Sanjay Dutt and even Eugene Nick Dinsmore out there. A case could be made that a very, very awesome promotion could pop up right now with all the guys out there.
And believe me, I've talked to most of these guys. Like, there's a lot of guys here in Carolina. There's a lot of guys in Houston. Yeah, and, you know, like, I actually feel like in the long run, when it's all said and done, like, I feel like I'll have behind the scenes than I do in the ring, because I feel like I have a good mind and I have a lot of patience for the guys, you know. So, man, you're right. There are enough guys floating around enough down to and do some good stuff. It had, you know, guys will, you know, really willing to work hard and, you know, commit themselves to put on a
good. Shane?
Well, I was going to ask a question, but I'm looking at the phone lines, and, you know, it just proves what Matt's been saying on Twitter and about, you know, he has such great fans that, you know, I don't think I need to talk anymore. Let his fans ask the questions for us.
Okay. We'll go back to the phone lines, guys. Just try and keep your questions short because we do have a lot of guys on the line, and we'd like to get everybody on as we can. From the 910 from the Hardy's backyard, you're on the line with Matt, and hit the road.
Hi, Matt.
Hello.
This is Chris. I had a creative question.
All right.
Back in WWE, you had a lot of creative input on your character, but in the last few years, how much creative input would they let you have?
I mean, I just think from when it was the WWF to eventually changing the name over to the WWE, as time has ticked on, I think creative input across the board with all the guys has dwindled and has actually became less and less, because now they just I just feel like it's overproduced in a lot of ways. I mean, it's one of those things. I think guys, whenever they go out there and do a promo or they wrestle a match or try and create a character, I think to a degree you have to let a guy go out there and try something without a net for him to really succeed or fail. I mean, you can't have someone in the back tell someone, how to have someone paint by numbers. Okay, first you paint here 1, 2, 3. You have to have guys that are creative, because there's a lot of times where you end up in the ring and things are on the fly, because you never know how a crowd's going to react. You never know when someone's going to get hurt. You never know when you're going to have more time or less time. You definitely have to be able to react on the fly. I feel like, the more creative guys are themselves, and the more guys can think out of the box, I think the more beneficial it is for them and for the company. And I just think they've really taken a lot of that away as time has went on. And I know it's got trickier too, because with the whole PG thing, there's so many things that are banned and off limits, and then they're really, it's very strict and very very tight about what you can and can't do in WWE nowadays.
Well, that sucks.
All right, Chris. Well, thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
We're gonna keep this moving. From the 405, you're on the line with Matt Hardy. Who are we speaking with?
I think this would be me again, correct?
It's you again.
Yeah, this is Doug. Hey, I actually had to call my business partner because our business wouldn't exist without Matt Hardy. He's actually on the phone with me.
Yeah. Why is that?
We watched your DVD with you and your brother, and one line that you had said in that DVD, it kind of stuck with both of us. It was, if you have a dream about something, never let go of it. Right. And if no matter how hard they put you down, turn you down, push you away, dig your feet in, put your nose into it, and you'll succeed. Right. Well, we have a business, Wolfpack Promotions. We haven't really had a whole bunch of business, but
plus because we've both been going through divorces. So
yeah. But we put our money together. We took a chance. We built the business, and it's basically weird to say, but it's based on what you said in that DVD. And
it's based around our love for wrestling. So
yeah, he's like a walking wrestling encyclopedia. I can't beat him on anything.
That's very cool, though, man. That's very flattering, and I'm glad you guys decided to take a leap of faith, and that it worked out for you. That's what people always have to do. That one thing I always try and stress to people is just like, you always have to believe, that life is always going to get better. I never say like I look at the glass half full. I always say I look at the glass 3/4 full. There's the old expression: you see the glass half full or half empty. To see if you're like pessimistic or optimistic. But I always see it 3/4 full, because there's always so much potential out there in life, and it's just like, if you're a positive person and you're willing to work hard, like really, I think most anything is possible as long as you're willing to try and you're willing to give it your all to do. And so many people just give up on the dreams, or so many people other people discourage them, and now more than ever, which to me it was so funny, as you were saying before, like I was universally loved whenever I was version 1, or when I was doing the whole attitude thing, like even now, like if someone insults me on a message board or whatever, someone who doesn't know me personally can't say anything to me that will really bother me, because they don't know the real me. Anytime you base something off what you heard third, fourth, fifth hand, and something that's a character on TV or on a YouTube channel or whatever, it's just like, I don't know. There's ways to use negativity and positivity to constantly drive and push yourself into making yourself better, and you have to always be optimistic that you're going to get better.
Yeah, him and I we both kind of grew up the underdogs in a sense. But, watching him and I both agree, watching you from high voltage all the way to, version 1, it's a huge improvement. But every character you've ever had was just, like I told him earlier, I could watch you and your brother wrestle, and I knew something exciting was going to happen. I mean, I knew it. There was just no way around it.
Well, now you see in the business, you see copycats of the Hardy Boys, and it's just kind of it's comical, but it's also one of those, it's flattery to you. I know.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. It's crazy. Like Kickware, when we first picked out that, a real funny story I'll tell you real quick. It's like they actually told us, okay, we're going to repackage you guys, put you guys with Michael Hayes, go buy new outfits. We want you to get some new clothes, and we really didn't know what to do. And the way the whole look came about, I mean, it's in our book, and we talked about it, a couple of times here and there. But we actually went out shopping, and we had Michael Hayes with us, who's great. I have nothing but good things to say about Michael, and he's helped me out tremendously throughout my career. And, we were out. He said, you know what I think we should do, guys? I think we should get some tight blue jeans, get us a big belt buckle, maybe some flannels, kind of like the Freebirds used to wear. It'd be real cool. And we were walking down through a mall, and we stopped we stopped at Hot Topic, and we're just like, that was cool back in the day, but just stick with us, kid. It'll be all right. That's what I told him. And Jeff and I went in, and we picked the Kickware pants out, and we ended up getting the tight shirt. And I remember he got it too, and it was real funny because we would wear ours low, and his was pulled up high. And Kickware eventually started sending us and giving us stuff because their business ended up tripling. 6 or 8 months later, Kickware pants became so popular, and I would get demo tapes and DVDs from people all across the world that were wearing what we were wearing. You know what I mean? Like Kickware pants and a little spandex shirt or whatever. And it was very flattering. It was neat. But it's one of those things. Obviously, if there's a Stone Cold Steve Austin, they're not looking for the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. So if there's Hardy Boys already, they're not looking for another set of Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
I joined the conversation late. Is Sugar Shane there?
Is Sugar Shane here?
Hey, I haven't heard from you, dude. So.
Oh, well, I'm just letting you and Matt talk, man. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I know. You're there, too. You can talk. Because, I remember you back in the WCW and all that, so, yeah.
Oh.
But, yeah, yeah, man, it's it's one of those things, too. Also, back when I was doing High Voltage and my brother and I were wrestling on a trampoline, there was kids at my high school. There was one guy in particular. His name was Jeremy, and I remember he said, "Oh, this is stupid. You'll never do anything in wrestling, and it's ridiculous. You look silly. You'll never make any money." And this was just a couple years ago. I actually ran into this guy, and he had 3 kids, and all his kids got my autograph, and they just said, "Oh my God, you're our favorite wrestler, and we're so proud of you." And I always knew you were going to make it, and it's so cool that you're from the same county I'm from in North Carolina, and just putting it on real big, thick, and heavy. But in a lot of ways, that's how I envision even a project like the Hardy Show that started off very small, very humble beginnings, getting into something that I didn't really know about. And a lot of people said, "Oh, well, you can't really go anywhere with that. It's not going to do anything." And that's one of my goals in the next year too, is to really push that and make it into a very professional, lucrative business. One day have a television show and make it into a big deal. And I'm dead set on making the Hardy Show into a $1 million business. And when I get my mind set on doing something, if I have input and control, I'm usually pretty good about it.
And I definitely see you going there with all the YouTube and your Hardy Show, thehardyshow.com and everything. So I'm not going to doubt you. I know you have some haters out there, but all these supporters that are on the line and in the chat room, no doubt about it there.
Yeah, man, it's all good, man. Whether people love me or hate me, as long as they're talking about me, I'm okay. And whenever I left WWE, I knew I had 80 some odd days to cover a bridge of territory until I was free to do something else in a major way. So I just wanted to make sure my name stayed in circulation, and it wasn't too hard. Whether people were speaking good or bad, as long as they were talking about me, that's what I was looking to achieve at that point.
So like guys like, you know, when like the Paul Londons came up with their YouTube video, like that kind of stuff, you know, it's nothing to you. Anything is just like whatever. My haters are talking. I don't care.
Yeah, no, not at all. And it's funny. I actually was just asked about Paul earlier, and the funny thing is, like, I actually, if you look back in time, Paul wrestled me before he ever had a job, and I came back and told everybody, even Vince included, that he was really talented and he was good. He actually got hired after a match I had with him on Velocity, like back in 2003 during that Attitude Era. I actually got him a job in the first place, you know. And then we never had like a big issue, and then all of a sudden it was just like, I don't know, Paul did whatever videos he did. I don't even know if I actually saw them in all actuality. I did hear about them though, but I thought Paul was a really talented guy. I thought he was extremely athletic, and he could have really had a really good, bright future in the business. But I don't know, he just had a lot of negativity surrounding him, and he had a lot of he was just very, very antisocial and a lot of negativity surrounding him. And that's one thing you'll never find with me. Like, you'll never see me go on any of my YouTube videos and like bury anyone or say negative stuff about people. Like, I don't harbor resentment at all. Like, nothing in life bothers me now. Nothing gets me down. I have nothing. There's nothing bad about my life now. My life is really good. And, you know, even when people do stuff like that, like, you know, he doesn't know me, he's not one of my closest friends, it certainly doesn't bother me.
All right. And we speak of those supporters. We want to kind of try to get this in and out, guys. So we've got a couple more guys on the chat room. Matt, are you still okay with time?
Yeah, I've got about 5 or 10 more minutes.
Okay, thank you. All right, guys, keep it quick here from the 973. You're on the line with Matt.
Hey, kick ass. What's up, Matt?
What's going on? How you doing, man?
Good. I'm down in Charlotte. I got 2 quick questions. One, I think you got the potential to do this. I mean, don't you think the Carolinas have enough potential, like where you could go in and do kind of what Jeff Jarrett did for TNA? You could kind of raise up an organization based out of the Carolinas?
Yes, absolutely. I really do. And I've talked with different guys about it already, and I've definitely started making some small plans, and as time goes on, they'll start coming, materialize more and more.
Awesome. And just second question, I think just the way the newspapers have gone with the new media, I think such is the case, with the top tier wrestling organizations. I think the market is there for many more wrestling organizations. And my last question is, do you ever see wrestling getting to the point where it's respected at the level it is in Japan?
That would be nice. The funny thing is, I mean, you always have to look at WWE just because it's the number one company, and it's obviously going to kind of start the trends, and TNA is going to be behind that, for the time being anyway. But, WWE, and, I know from, speaking with Vince, working underneath Vince for so many years, wants to be taken seriously, and wants to be part of, Hollywood and, entertainment, and, he's made movies, and his whole point is to try to make the company as mainstream as possible, but I think they do so many things to shoot themselves in the foot, that works against that. I think for it to be respected and looked upon in that light as a serious thing, it's just like you can't do things where you insult fans' intelligence. I mean, when you start insulting fans' intelligence, then you're not gonna be given respect. Like the whole John Cena with Nexus angle, like when they did the deal and John Cena was fired, and then the very the next night he comes out, he does this, goodbye speech, whatever, and he shows up then that night and attacks somebody, and then the next week he shows up sitting in the crowd and he was wearing knee pads, and then he jumps in, you know what I mean? Think about like if someone in the NBA or the NFL had said, okay, well, if we don't lose this game, then I'm retiring. But then the next game they did that. I mean, like, it's just so ridiculous. It's like if you want to be taken serious, you have to treat yourself serious. And they have the brand split, and they talk about how like the draft's important or whatever. But then I've noticed like every week the shows are there's cross it's cross branded on every show now. Every week, and it's just like, and until they decide to really, hammer down and, like, take themselves seriously, then it's not going to be given that respect. I mean, obviously, wrestling's entertainment, and, at some point you had to say that, during the Attitude Era, we covered that. People know wrestling is entertainment, and watching a great wrestling card is like watching a great movie, is how it should be. Sure, that things that are happening during this movie are being portrayed by people who are actors, and, they're not legitimately, this evil, terrible person, but, it's done so well and it's done so accurately, and there's not loopholes, and there's not, you don't see the boom in the shot, there's not things that make you go like, oh, God, this is fake or phony because of so-and-so or so-and-so, or this is cheesy because they're doing this stuff that's, played out or whatever. And, they don't have an easy job. Writing a TV show, once a week, like, for instance, Raw, SmackDown, writing a live TV show once a week, that's a lot of writing to do. I mean, I've realized recently that, there's so much good TV on. Like, I'm a huge Sons of Anarchy fan. I'm a huge Dexter fan now. Even True Blood. True Blood is very similar to wrestling because True Blood is like, obviously you have to get into, like, the mythology of it, but you realize that obviously True Blood isn't taking place in the real world. But if you kind of let yourself go and kind of get into, like, what the characters are, these guys are vampires or this guy's a shapeshifter, whatever it may be, the writing is very consistent, and very, accurate as it goes throughout the series. But still, even those shows only have, 12 or 13 episodes in one season. Raw and SmackDown, there's 52 shows every year, and they never take a break. So it's tough writing, but it's one of those things, like, for them to gain the respect of, like, a Japanese level type respect, they have to take themselves serious, and they can't insult their fans.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, to pretty much to wrap this, because I know you got to go, and we do appreciate the time you spent with us. We've heard you guys' story. We've watched the DVDs. You and Jeff, bouncing around on trampolines and whatnot, and finally making to WWE. But then we hear a lot about the guys who, when they're no longer with the company, they speak about, being handcuffed by the WWE. Why is it then that, people are still striving to be there when they know that when they get to the WWE, they're pretty much going to be locked down in ways that can become, uncomfortable and not to their liking?
I mean, just first and foremost, it is the biggest wrestling promotion. So, it's most everyone's dream to wrestle at WrestleMania. It's where you can go and make the most money right now. And it's one of those things. It's like you have to kind of roll the dice and take the chance. I think with some of the things they've been doing that have been strange decisions might change people's views. And like, I think TNA has a great opportunity right now. If they can, step up and take advantage of it. I like to look at WWE, and I think WWE, they're not sure what direction they're going in. TNA just needs to find their true direction. Is what I think between both the companies. But when you have anybody that has wrestled, on the independent scene or is a wrestler trying to get into the business, the dance is WWE. So I think it's going to be anybody's dream to get there, and then you're just going to, you hope you get there and you succeed, and you don't get handcuffed. If you're going to work there, you are going to be handcuffed to a degree. But there are people who've been there and they've been successful and they've done well for themselves, and it's just you have to give it a shot. You know what I mean? And that's what I think. That's what I think most people that are optimistic would say. That's obviously why they want to go to the WWE, because it's the number one promotion in the world, and it's got such a amazing history and background, and the way the WWE, the television it has across the world is incredible. You can step off on any country, across the world, and people know who you are. It's pretty powerful television.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you're gearing up here for your big return. Was it 116? Is that you're free there? You can go wrestle anywhere you want after that, or?
Yeah, 115 actually. It's January 15th. That's when I'll be wrestling MVP for NEW, Northeastern Wrestling. That's in Poughkeepsie, New York, and myself and Montel Vontavious Porter. We're the big main event there. So yeah, that's just kind of like what I put in there, like as the start date of like, you know, because that's being free and being able to do everything, and it's kind of like that's the date I picked is like, you know, my true return date where, you know, I'm gonna have a little a different look and, you know, be ready to rock and roll again and actually make an impact and try and make the business a little bit unpredictable again without insulting the fans. Actually, including
Absolutely. There you go. Well, you know, he is the owner, the star of The Hardy Show. Make sure you check him out, www.thehardyshow.com, or is it, and YouTube, Matt Hardy Brand, Twitter, Matt Hardy Brand.
Right on, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, you guys make sure to drop me a line. You know, I have several thousand followers on Twitter, but I try and interact with my people as much as possible because I am a people person. But you guys keep watching my YouTube videos, keep checking out The Hardy Show. I promise you, The Hardy Show is going to grow in more ways than people ever expected. And it's going to become a really, really cool concept in the days ahead.
Absolutely. All right, Matt, we definitely thank you for coming on, and we hope to have you on again soon.
You got it, man. I hope to. It's been a good time. Thank you guys for having me, and you guys all be well.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, you guys take care.
All right, we want to, you know, once again thank Matt for coming on. We want to thank everybody for listening. Continue. The show is going on. But, you know, I'm sorry if you were hanging on the line, and we tried to get everyone in. You know, a lot of the comments there, questions ran a bit longer. We'll hope to have them on again soon, and we'll definitely try and get you in. Matt Hardy is a man of the people, and so is Hit the Rope. But very interesting to say. I don't know.
I'm still a little confused. Did somebody think I was Shane Helms or something? Because the guy was like Sugar Shane. I thought it was me because we said Sugar Shane on the show before. So I said hi. I don't know if he thought I was Helms. If he did, I apologize.
Yeah, I was confused. I was like, how many buttons did I hit on the switchboard? Did I plug him in and not know it? I didn't know what was going on. Confusing us all, Shane. But,
all right. Well, let I guess we shall transition from Matt, you know, and go to something else where, you know, John called in and you were talking about the world title and the number one contenders and how that stuff is. So I guess we can transition to that.
Absolutely. I guss, you know, crazier things have happened there on Raw, but as it turns out, the main event was a three-way dance and locked inside of a steel cage, you know, to determine the number one contender. Do you think things are moving a little bit rapid here as we saw the winner, and you know, if you've seen the spoilers to see what's going on later on this week? What in the world's going on with the WWE right now in terms of the World Championship and who's going to be the number one contender?
I'm not sure if it's moving too fast or anything. It just didn't make much sense to me, because they put Morrison and Miz to start the show off, and they did a phenomenal job. You know, yes, it's January. It was January 3rd, but you know, you could say that was the best match of the year so far. But it was a great match. You know, it's laced with it's a little filled with hyperbole, but it was a great match. You know, and a match that Miz was in, and people give Miz a lot of heat for not being the greatest, you know, wrestling-wise. But it was a very good match. And then you're thinking, well, the match started the show, so maybe there's going to be something towards the end of the show. And we learned that there's going to be a number one contenders match to end the show, but then Morrison is not in there, and he did an admirable job. So you would think maybe they would at least give him a chance, though you would be at a disadvantage because he wrestled for about 30 minutes to start the show. At least give him a chance to be in the match itself. I was confused.
Yeah. I mean, it was a little weird. The build-up was good. You knew that after making Punk the